teams that are four teams that are gonna make that push. When we're talking about the push, we're talking about the push into the next level where they're possibly in the Super Bowl. These teams that are on the brim of success as far as getting that AFC championship game or that NFC championship game where they're getting that under their belt and they're actually winning that and making it to the Super Bowl. The four teams that I'm about to name have all had previous success, but you think that at this point in time, it could be their year this year. We're going to start out with number four. And when you're looking at number four, they had tremendous success last season. And it was under surprise of a lot of people. But when you look at Jaden Daniels and you think about exactly what they've done this offseason, the Washington Commanders have added a lot of depth to their team. They've improved their wide receiver core. And you're looking at Debo Samuel added to Scary Terry. And you're also looking at them adding Laramie Tunzel. They've done some groundwork as far as trying to improve the offensive line and defensive line. And I feel like the offense is going to take a next step in year two for Jaden Daniels. A lot of people, didn't expect Jaden to have this kind of year, and you see exactly how much football he played at LSU. You see exactly how he was able to handle himself under the bright lights, some of the brightest lights in the NFL. And he really only had 3 or 4 bad games. When you think about that, he led the team in all major statistics and categories, and he had a pretty good season as far as that goes. It was a very feel-good 2024 for him. But now the sophomore slump could hit, but you got to think Dan Quinn has been very active. This coaching staff has been very active and not very sit on your hands, as if you will. They've been very active to show that, hey, we're going to do everything we can to improve. While we got this guy on a rookie deal, we're going to make different deals. We're going to bring certain people in, and we're going to take those risks with trades and free agency to make sure we're getting guys in here that are going to help lead the cause. And when you think about Jaden Daniels, the rookie of the year, it's, you're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. So you got to think the rookie of the year for offense last year was Jaden Daniels. You can't really sneak up on anybody. You're not a surprise anymore. People know your game. They respect your game. They've been watching film on you for your whole NFL career now. So I think the winning culture has been established in Washington. I think they're going to take that next step. They have to go through the Philadelphia Eagles in their own division. I think they could have some success. They play them 2 times a year, and you saw they had pretty good success against them last year. Not all wins, but you got to think the way that they were able to compete in certain football games outside of the NFC Championship game was pretty phenomenal for them. So that's why I have them at number 4. Coming in at number 3, it might be a surprise to a lot of people, but the Los Angeles Rams, they're rated higher than the Commanders on my list because of the quarterback situation and also your coach. Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford have been a wonderful blend together, not only winning a Super Bowl, but being able to stay in division rivalries, being able to stay in the playoff hunt, be able to compete in the playoffs, no matter who's on the team, no matter if it's Puka Nacua, no matter if it's Cooper Kupp, no matter if it's just Matthew Stafford out there throwing to random guys. They've proven and shown themselves over the years to have a thread of poise. And that comes with playing through injuries. That comes with playing through situations where you don't have the best possible injury list as far as active players. That comes with having to mix and match and having to be creative on the actual fly with your guys. Having Corinne Williams, running back, having him as solid as he's been, all he's been is touching gold. Everything he touches in this offense turns to gold, and I think that that's a big thing for the Rams because the run game is going to be very critical this year. They're bringing in Devontae Adams, and that should help Puka Nacua a little bit as far as taking the double teams away from him because even though Devontae Adams has possibly lost a step, he still has a step to give. And I feel like his route running, the things he does for the Rams is going to be crucial for that. You got to keep in mind they brought back Jared Verse and you got to think Byron Young. They have a lot of guys on the defense that are young, that are under contract, that are ready to get after it. And I think that this gives for them being more successful long-term. And in next season, I think they can push their chips to the table, possibly make a trade, and be right back in a Super Bowl conversation. You don't want to count out Sean McVay or Matthew Stafford. They've proven, look at last year when it was against the Eagles. They were playing in the snow, and they were still almost in the game late in the football game. So you got to think the Rams have a lot in their division that they've crossed over and conquered. They've conquered the division when they went to the Super Bowl. They've had a lot to do with the offense now. It may not be very defensive like it used to be, but from the standpoint, I think that the Rams are going to surprise a lot of people, and they could possibly push through on this next season. And then we switch it up. We go to the AFC now. The AFC is filled with a lot of different competitions, and you got to think we're going to start off with what I think is one of the most deadliest combinations of runners in the game. I'm talking about number 2 right here, the Baltimore Ravens. With Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, these two, when they have the opportunity to get the ball in their hands, and that's almost every play for both these guys, is run wild. When you think about the season historically that Saquon Barkley had, Derrick Henry had a historically season that was great as well. When we look at Lamar Jackson, he had a historically great season as well. You got two guys that was in the MVP conversation, that was Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, that could have made cases just like Saquon Barkley to say, hey, we've had a great season as well. When you're looking at Lamar Jackson, he's the best running quarterback there is of all time. And you think about what he's able to do and how him being on the actual field with Derrick Henry allows Derrick Henry to have so much more freedom to run, because you can't blitz. If he puts that ball in Derrick Henry's stomach and pulls it out on a play action read, Lamar Jackson's hitting his head on the goalpost. Let's face it, there's not many corners that can keep up with him, not many linebackers that keep up with him, not many defensive ends or defensive tackles that could do it. So you got to think, are you going to pick your poison and let Derrick Henry beat you, or are you going to let Lamar beat you? Lamar has been working on his arm the last couple of years. He's won an MVP plus, and you see how, it doesn't really compare to any other team in the NFL. If they're running, they're both running, it's hard to stop either. And you got to ask yourself on 4th and 1, are you going to stop Lamar, or are you stopping Derrick Henry? Which one are you really stopping? And just from the standpoint, if it wasn't for the Mark Andrews dropping of the pass, they could have been right there back in the Super Bowl conversation. This offseason, adding Malachi Starks and safety Malachi Starks gives them that safety protection. And also Mike Green, the troubled defensive end out of Marshall. They have a lot of different weapons now on defense. You ask yourself, how can this team get better? How can this team, all they do is go in the draft and add solid starters, players that are going to make impact well into the season. If Malachi Starks works out, they have a starting safety to go along with this killer defense at corner. When you're looking at the defensive ends, when they're rolling and they're getting to the quarterback, they're getting pressure. And then it's downhill from there with the linebackers. When you look at Roquan Smith and see what he's been able to do, and they're lightning fast all over the place, that's what this defense does. It attacks in waves. And I think that overall, getting the offense to lead and having the defense follow, and knowing that you have to score a certain amount of points against Lamar Jackson to keep up, it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. So I think for the most part, you got to think that, these teams have proven themselves, and these teams have really gotten to the point where they're outstanding in certain places and positions. But number one, this is coming as no surprise. I think that number one, they had an impeccable season last year, but I'm just going to be honest with you. They had a disappointing playoff loss to the Washington Commanders. And it was a lot of people that was disappointed in the building because they had Ben Johnson as their offensive coordinator. They had Jared Goff as their quarterback. David Montgomery throughout the season before he got hurt. You also had Amon St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs. Aiden Hutchinson was injured early in the season, so he wasn't available for the game. But you got to think, they have a lot of talent on that Detroit Lions team. The Detroit Lions are a deadly team because they're in a division where not everybody's fully put together. Yes, you have Minnesota. Chicago is a question mark, but you also have a softer schedule. They don't have the worst schedule in the world where they have to go up against elite talent, but you got to think, they played a lot of football together. Regardless of who the OC is, they're going to play a brand of football where they're running the football. We know that Montgomery is going to be running, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be running, and Jared Goff is going to be making the smart passes. To Amon St. Brown, to Laporta, they're going to be doing a lot of things that they used to do with Ben Johnson, but I feel like in this year, the offense wrinkles more. We can see even more Jahmyr Gibbs as a playmaker. Not only that, but him and David Montgomery in the game at the same time. When you got both of them in the backfield, one splits out, who do you guard? Because Montgomery can catch the ball out the backfield as well. They have a terrible timing issue, it feels like, because they have the worst games at the worst time. But I think that can improve. I think Coach Dan Campbell takes it very personal when he makes mistakes. And I feel like that's going to help the Lions moving forward. So I feel like, the Lions, especially with the embarrassment that they lost, losing defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn isn't going to hurt that much because I feel like they've improved defensively with getting more pieces in there. I feel like that could be covered. The defensive holes that they had, they've started to patch up a little bit at the cornerback position, at the safety position, and also getting another possible edge rusher. So I think overall, it's one of those things. But we have to keep in mind from this standpoint right here, the Detroit Lions are going to be one of those teams that could crack the Super Bowl. And you got to think the Philadelphia Eagles were impeccable last year. But will they have that same fervor this year? Will the Chiefs struggle like they did in the Super Bowl next season? There's holes. There are going to be surprises all over the team. There's holes on schedules where teams can get off to a great start. But these are the top 4 teams that I feel like are going to have a breakthrough. What are your top 4 teams? What are the teams that you feel like are going to make that move? Get in the comment section below. Definitely check out Sports Choice Plus, and we'll see you on the very next video.